Welcome to Violent Vinyl Radio, where we break down the best hair metal albums from the 80s and the 90s. So grab that volume up, crank it up, and enjoy the show.
Showtime. Welcome to Violent Vinyl Radio. I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First up, the podcaster holding all the aces, Dangerous Dave.
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
I love that. And last but not least, the podcaster who likes the dark side of the electronic beat. Her name is Lisa. What's up, Lisa?
Hi, guys.
What? That's it?
That's all I got this time. That's all I
Okay.
got. An interesting, different episode this week.
Okay. As always, the mission of this show is for us to introduce each other and you, the listeners, to albums and bands which you may never have heard before, while also discussing the classics. So sit back and enjoy the show. Dave, please tell our listeners where they can find the show.
You can check us out anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can reach us on social medias like these: Instagram at VVR Podcast Insta and Facebook at Violent Vinyl Podcast.
Awesome.
That was like a radio voice, wasn't it?
I like it. I
Goodness.
like it.
That is
Bring
the
it.
radio
That
voice.
is the radio voice.
Fucking
Wow.
bringing it tonight. And remember, guys,
Looking for a
if-
job, everybody.
you've got a job right here on this show. Doesn't pay well, but that's what I'm getting at. So if you were born in the time frame that allowed you to enjoy the greatest decades of all times, the 80s and the 90s, and you have friends that were also brought up in this time, share the podcast with them. Tell them about it. If you liked hair metal, you like rock and roll, you just like smoking weed in high school, pass the word along. All right, let's do this. Let's get this fucking show on the map already, huh? Okay, tonight we will be discussing Wake Me When It's Over, the second studio album by Faster Pussycat, produced by John Jansen, released on August 28th of 1989 on Elektra Records. The album peaked at the number 48 spot on the Billboard US 200. Messed that up a little bit. Dan's lineup was... Dan? Who's Dan? The band's lineup was as follows: Tammy Down, lead vocals; Greg Steele, guitar, piano, backing vocals. There's no fucking way he played those piano tracks. Brent Muscat, guitar, percussion, backing vocals, talk box on Little Dove. Eric Stacy, holy shit, I never knew, but now if you know, you know, on these fucking amazing bass tracks. And Mark Michaels also bringing some fucking really good drums to this album. I think the big surprise for me was how good these two played on this album, especially Eric Stacy. Damn, it was fucking good. So usually we will do our band facts here, but since we did already break down Faster Pussycat's debut album, I will refer you to that episode if you want to know the ins and the outs of the band members, what they're doing today, and just basically anything you'd ever want to know about Faster Pussycat. It's all right there for you. So instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to Dave. He's going to have a couple comments on this. And then we're going to go to Lisa, and she is going to do something a little different this week that I think is appropriate for this album. Okay? So Dave, why don't you get us started?
Yes, I do have a few facts related to this album.
Besides, it's awesome.
The lineup for this album stayed the same as their first album, however, not for long. While the band was touring for this album in 1990, drummer Mark Michaels was arrested in Omaha, Nebraska, after FedExing a package of heroin addressed to himself.
Fucking awesome.
Pro move right there.
I love it.
He was immediately fired from the band. Frankie Banali of Quiet Riot filled in as drummer for the remainder of the tour, after which Brett Bradshaw became their drummer until the band's 1993 breakup. Frankie unfortunately died in 2020, and Brett also died in 2021.
Oh.
Yes. This album went gold, and music videos were produced for House of Pain and Poison Ivy. Wake Me When It's Over is also the title of a 1960 comedy film. It is unclear if they got the title from the movie as opposed to where they got the band name, which we talked about in the first episode, from director Russ Meyer's 1965 exploitation film Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill. In a 2019 article on AL.com, Tammy says, "Wake Me When It's Over," the title, it was our dilemma of finding the right producer. We tried out like 3 or 4 different ones, and it was, let's just get one and get this fucking record done.
Mm.
Additional musicians credited on the album include Kevin Savagar, or Savajar, I'm not sure how to say that, playing piano on Poison Ivy and Please Dear. He's probably the guy that you hear all the fancy piano stuff from.
Yes.
Jimmy Z. Zavala, or Zavala, on harmonica and sax. He is a session player who has done work on albums by Rod Stewart, The Eurythmics, and Etta James. Quite a varied resume there. On background vocals, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we have Amy Canyon. You'd know
So
her
good.
as one of Motley Crue's Nasty Habits backup singers and also Mick Mars's ex-wife.
Really good.
Yeah, she also performed backup vocals on the Dr. Feelgood album.
Fun
Woman can
fact
sing.
about Nasty Habits. In high school, in my senior yearbook, I wrote what I wanted to be in the future. I said I wanted to be one of Motley Crue's Nasty Habits backup singers, and I got censored, and they pulled it out of the yearbook. So I was very sad
That
about
is
that.
so fucking weak.
I know.
Bastards.
Where the hell did you go to high school? Heaven?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
But Dave, let me ask you. Mark Michaels, he didn't have room in his ass for that heroin. Because that's where most people put it, and it's a lot harder to find.
Apparently not, yeah.
So kids out there, if you're ever going on a trip and you want to bring your heroin, just put it in your ass. Okay? There you go.
The more you know.
Okay.
According to a December 1989 Metal Edge article, the band recorded some tracks the previous year that were not used, and they tried out several producers before selecting John Jansen. John started his career as a studio assistant at Jimi Hendrix's Electric Lady Studios. He has also worked with other artists, including Britney Fox, Meatloaf, Lou Reed, and Cinderella.
Nice.
Lisa, did you have something about
Yeah,
John
so
Jansen?
I can tell you a little bit more about him. In addition to those great people that you mentioned, he also worked with Blue Oyster Cult, Alice Cooper, Barry Manilow. Thank you very
Woo.
much.
Nice. Very.
Yeah, Warrant, Bang Tango, Love Hate. Yeah, a whole bunch of bands. He was also a writer-director of some movies. I don't know if you heard about this.
I did not.
So he was a writer-director of a movie called Mainly Etc., which was a 2001 drama about the suicide of Kurt Cobain. He was a director and co-writer with John Hargrove of Pink Floyd The Wall Redux 2002, which was kind of a reimagining of the original Pink Floyd The Wall with some new animation, some live music, and some archival footage. He also, this is an interesting one, was the director and co-writer of Abigail, the Salem Witch Trials rock opera. You heard that correctly.
Nice.
Rock opera of 2010.
Where can we
there's
find
a-
that gem?
Yeah, so there's a lot of footage on YouTube. Apparently, this 2010 movie was also a stage performance using the same music. And you can find all sorts of versions of different high schools doing, and I don't know about high schools, but like theater groups doing it and things like that. It's a wild
Wow.
story. So yeah, and being an expert in the Salem witch trials myself, I'm surprised I had never heard of this. So,
Yeah. I've never heard of that.
yeah.
It sounds made up, I'm going to be honest with you.
It's not, you've got to see it to believe it. I'll say
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say this. I mean, Faster Pussycats never sounded better. So tip of the hat to this producer because this album is slick. I think he really got the potential out of this band like to the max. I don't think you're gonna squeeze any more out of Faster Pussycat than you got on this album. So Lisa, did you want to I don't know, do a little news break?
Yeah.
News
yeah,
break.
and yeah, this
Okay.
is kind of weird timing for us, right? This is there was obviously, as most of our listeners probably already know, a pretty significant trauma tragedy that happened recently. So when Des chose this album, I was really excited about it because, of course, I love Faster Pussycat. It was the end of March at that time. It was 5 days before the tragedy. So we had actually already started working on this album before any of the news happened, before any of this happened. So it's kind of a strange coincidence in timing. But since we're talking about Faster Pussycat, and we decided to move forward with the pick, we all love the band. We know that Faster Pussycat had to cancel some appearances due to the tragedy, including the Monsters of Rock cruise, which is happening right now as we are recording for even a few more days. They are selling their merch on the cruise, even though they aren't on the cruise or playing. So we know that lots of our friends are on there buying their stuff to support the band. And we wanted also to support the band because they're probably going to have some pretty hard times going forward. Um, so I want to start by saying that I have a real job. I, kn- I know it's strange to think, but I have a real job. I'm a principal software engineer and a solutions designer, and I've been working in the travel industry for 3.5 decades. I took a small break to do some government work, but generally speaking, my entire career has been in travel. And my current company, which I've been with for 2 decades, specializes in the cruise industry. Um, so, a lot of things happen on cruise ships, just like a lot of things happen on land. Although it feels like when something happens on a cruise ship, people get a little more concerned about it because it's very isolated. It's very removed from the world, and
Society.
yeah, and like there's no one there kind of to come to help you when you're on a cruise ship. So people get sick, and people have heart attacks, and people have arguments and relationship issues, and people are cruel to the staff, and people have issues with, especially with alcohol, as you're kind of captive on the ship, and what else are you going to do but drink, right? So that can be a serious problem. um, when you're isolated from emergency support systems like hospitals and even in some cases internet and phone services, you know, the ships have onboard security. They have doctors and or nurses on the ship. They even have like holding cells and morgues and all sorts of things depending on what's happening on the ship. Even whether you're on the ship kind of like out at sea in the middle of nowhere, or whether you're in a remote location in a foreign country, in a place that doesn't have the services that we're used to here in the US. They're full of services. Um, but things do happen, and people do get sick, get hurt, pass away, and unfortunately, what we say, go overboard. Now, we purposely say go overboard because you don't really know when this happens what has actually happened. Did they fall? Did they whatever? I can tell you that it is nearly impossible to accidentally fall off of a cruise ship.
Well, we do have Ricky Rackman coming out and
We
giving
do.
his
We do.
version, and we have to assume that he spoke with Jamie Down.
Right. No,
So
and
we're
I will
getting,
get
yeah,
to that.
okay.
Yes.
I mean, every
Yeah.
story has two
Right.
sides at least, if not three. I think we got
Right.
the third
Right.
side there.
Right.
Okay.
So, on average, 19 people a year go overboard on a cruise ship. In other
Very
words,
careless.
yes, exit the ship and end up
Very.
in the water in some way, right? There's a lot of safety protocols on these ships. You can't really just fall off. It just it doesn't. It's impossible.
I can
The
prove
way,
that. I went on a
yeah,
cruise and I
yeah,
did not fall off the boat,
right,
and I
yeah,
am the guy that would fall off the boat. So there you go.
right, right. Um, Usually when somebody goes overboard, it is through their own decision or someone else's decision, right? It's also pretty unlikely that someone else makes the decision for you, right? That's it's all it's almost non-existent. So um, once people go overboard, about 40% of the people that go overboard are actually rescued,
Hmm.
and might be hurt but are fine. Um, you know it really depends on what's happening on the ship when you go overboard. So if it's daylight out, you have a lot more of a chance of them finding you than if it's nighttime, right? If you're in the middle of the ocean on high seas versus are you near the pier, right? Like all of these things kind of factor into, are we going to be able to save someone, find someone after that happens?
Is there sharks?
Is there is there
Now,
sharks?
did you
Mm,
actually hit the water first? I mean, I
right.
suppose that also
Yeah.
comes into play.
And how high of a height did you fall from, right?
Right.
So a lot of these ships are, they're larger than a city block, and they're extremely tall, right? The tallest cruise ship right now is owned by Royal Caribbean, which is the same company of the ship that this 80s cruise was happening on. This is the Royal Caribbean Icon of the Seas. It is nearly 50 meters tall.
Wow.
And since we're in America and we can't be bothered with the metric system, okay, I'll say that it's 159 feet, but let me
Ooh.
let me be more specific. It's this basically about the size of the Leaning Tower of Pisa,
Ooh.
or the same length as an Olympic swimming pool, or the same height as 16 Siberian tigers. So if you're in America, that's how we can measure the ship.
Oh,
Freedom units.
I now have a
Yes,
very clear idea of how tall it is.
right, right.
The tiger
The,
reference.
they're all equipped with sensors, right? They have kind of like motion sensors. There's cameras everywhere, as far as detecting somebody who has gone overboard. There's protocols that are followed as soon as this happened. They have smaller boats that come off of the cruise ship to go out and look. They have drones. They might call assistance from a coast guard if they're close enough to a coast. They will also call like an SOS call to ships that are in the area to join them in the search, which one of the Norwegian cruise ships actually did join in the search for Kim when she fell. Um, so Royal Caribbean, a lot of crap was going on in the media when this first happened, right? So of course I'm in the industry. We heard very early that there was an incident on the ship. Someone had gone overboard. Royal Caribbean was very careful. They don't make statements when all the facts aren't in, and basically they just put out a very respectful statement that said like they launched a cruise rescue effort. We're providing support to the guest on board and blah blah blah. Simple statement. But the media went insane at this time, speculating about what happened. And, you were hearing stories from people who claimed to be on the ship, who weren't actually on the ship, and all sorts of horrible things about Tammy, about Kim, about other things that were happening on the ship. And none of it was true,
Because
right?
we're
It was,
monsters. It's human
yeah,
nature. We love to
it was,
gossip.
it was terrible. It was terrible. So, the information I'm going to provide comes from what we know from inside of the cruise industry and also from what Ricky Rackman shared after speaking to Tammy being called on the ship a few times.
They've
Tammy,
been best friends and business partners for 30 years or
yeah,
so.
and we did
Yes.
talk about their relationship on our first episode if you
Mhm.
want to go back and see how close they are. But, you know, a, the information that we're getting from both sides basically is that there was an argument on the ship between Tammy and Kim that was witnessed by multiple people on the ship. Um, while we shared in the first episode that, or at least I shared, that what I knew of Kim personally was that Tammy and Kim's relationship was very close and they loved each other a lot. And that she kind of helped him pull himself back together and get sober. And they were very much in love as far as we knew. And if you go and you look at Kim's Instagram or Tammy's Instagram, you can see that they traveled the world together, that they did everything together, that they were very very close and very knit together as far as a couple. So this was the information that we had beforehand. Ricky shares that their relationship was pretty toxic. um, People that I know never really knew that, but you never know what's happening behind closed doors, right? And you don't assume that kind of stuff. So when we share stuff, I of course try to always share the good things, especially about the women involved with the rock stars, right? So this is what we share. There may have been toxic situations. Kim apparently had some issues with substance abuse and had threatened many, many times throughout their relationship. This is all from Ricky, that she wanted to unalive herself multiple times. During the fight, Kim did jump from the ship of her own accord, having nothing to do with Tammy at all. And this is all on video. Keep in mind that the ships are constantly filming people as far as what's happening on the ship so that incidents like this can be taken care of. So, um, Tammy has been exonerated by the video, basically, that he had no part in this at all. And before the fact, and I didn't make any statements before this because I wasn't there and I didn't see what happened. But in my head and, amongst our close friends, we were like, there's no way that Tammy had any part in this. It just wasn't possible. There had to have been another explanation. And, in some ways it's a relief that this is how it happened. It's a horrible tragedy, but, Tammy wasn't involved. Now, having said that, um, there's all sorts of reports about like he wasn't allowed to return to their shared room and he was kind of locked in this area. Well, they have to do that, right? Because in essence, their room becomes technically a crime scene.
Mhm.
And while they were in US waters, I believe at the time, or at least US controlled waters, and the ship flies an American flag, which is important here, there is some, who has jurisdiction, who's going to do the investigation. They have to preserve evidence, they have to preserve the video, they have to make sure that, you know, the person who just witnessed this horrible tragedy is going to be okay themselves, right? So they do isolate people in these situations for legal reasons, for safety concerns. It wasn't to like hurt him or to accuse him of anything. It's just something they had to do legally when something like this happens.
Protocol.
The protocol, yeah. We have heard that the family of Kim was very upset that they were not alerted sooner. They were called by Tammy and told of the tragedy, but the cruise line did not contact them. So let's talk about that for a second. The cruise line does collect emergency contact information when you go on a cruise. Particularly, this is Royal Caribbean. They do collect that. I'm going to take a guess that Tammy was her emergency contact. That's Now I don't know that for sure, but by the behavior of the cruise line, if someone else was her emergency contact, they definitely would have contacted them. Right? So legally, they can't just randomly call people. You never know who you're calling. You have to, be sure that you're talking to who you think you're talking to.
Right.
So they've been very tight-lipped with this information. Tammy went and told them, and that's really how it should have been. I have seen a lot of stuff, like especially on TMZ, about the mother coming on and saying some things that Kim didn't drink, and this is out of character for her. Well, the other reports are that wasn't even her mother making those reports. So don't listen to
Right.
any of the nonsense that's out there. The only person who really knows what happened in this is Tammy. And spreading all this false information is just
And
it's not cool.
and here's the deal. I watch Columbo, okay? If he did it, he would be under arrest right now.
Yeah,
Like Lisa
exactly.
said, it's on
Yeah,
video. There's tons of surveillance on the boat. The fact
yeah.
that he's a free man says everything.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine what all of the families are going through here and all the people that loved her. And I can't imagine what Tammy's going
And
through.
Tammy, yeah, I mean, her
Yeah,
little dog and going back to that
yeah,
apartment that they
yeah.
lived in must be devastating.
Devastating. His life is probably never going to be the same. This is
Nope.
this is going to be something that there's like going to be before this and after this for him, and this is just going to be horrible.
I hope he
So
stays sober and doesn't spiral out of
that
control.
my hope also. Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to speculate on her motives, although we do know that this was not the first time that she threatened to do this. Um, you know, it, but I guess really what we should just say that is if you out there are suffering and you think there's no other way out, call someone. Call your friend, call your family. If you can't do that, call 988 in the US, which is the suicide hotline here. Call 911 if 988 doesn't work in your area. If you are in a European country, you have your own emergency services. I'm sure you know what the number is. Mental health care, or the lack of mental health care, is an international crisis.
Crisis.
Crisis. We have a lot of challenges in mental health care in the US, and I'm sure all over the world. And it's getting worse here in the current administration. In Europe, they do generally have public health care, but I have heard that even there it can be a challenge. Long wait times and systems that prioritize different things. But I guarantee out there is someone who would rather talk to you right now than attend your funeral. So reach out to someone, and there's always help. So it's still early, and the only charitable sites we're aware of right now for this tragedy, Ricky Rackman is trying to raise money for the 988 suicide prevention line in the U.S. He actually started this fund as like a motorcycle ride across the country. I think he went from like North Carolina to Key West to Anchorage and then back to North Carolina. So he's raising money for 988. He actually started this before the tragedy. So
Oh,
he
cool.
has a GoFundMe. You can Google it. We will link to it when we share this podcast. So that if you want to give some money for that, there it is.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's touching on that whole thing about the, mental health care stuff. They've really priced people out of getting health in this country. I mean, if you want to
Yeah.
talk to a psychiatrist for an hour in his office, I mean,
Mhm.
you're looking up to $1,000.
Yeah.
You want to talk to just a therapist that's not even a psychiatrist, you're looking at about $500 to sit in an
If you
office for
can
an
even
hour.
get an
If
appointment.
you can even get an appointment. And then, of course, they've got the, Miss Cleo line you can call where you can talk to some
Yeah.
dipshit that fucking is in his, slippers in his living room that's
Mm.
going to give you some fucking bullshit advice. You could try that too. But for me, I don't want to talk to Joe Baloney from fucking, yeah. So it sucks. It sucks. I feel like everybody should be able to go and sit down with a psychiatrist for a reasonable price and talk if you need to. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
This country sucks. The medical sucks. Don't get me going. I can't even get my teeth cleaned.
I know it's craziness.
Gotta sell a liver to get a fucking cavity filled.
Yeah, I've got friends all over the world really, and they are shocked by the fact that if you get sick here, you get cancer, you have a heart attack or something like that, you can go bankrupt and lose your house and
Yes.
everything that you worked for. It's
Financially
horrifying.
disastrous.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I fucking have good health care and I pay a shit fucking load for
Yeah.
it. And I'll go to the dentist. They'll be like, yeah, they're not picking the whole thing up. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're not picking the whole thing up. I'm giving them $200 a month. I
Mhm.
did actually have to go to the hospital about 6 months ago and I had to get a CT scan. And believe it or not, before I went to the emergency room and when I left, she was like, she's like, hey, your insurance is pretty good. You only owe $100. It's like $100
Wow,
and I
very
got a CT
nice.
scan. I was like, I'll be back next
Mhm.
week for another one. I'm a hypochondriac. Turns out there's nothing wrong with me, but I needed some video evidence. Okay. So is that it? We're good?
That is it. Yeah.
Very
Yeah, sad
nicely
story.
done, Lisa.
We don't really want to have to talk about this, but it's it's important.
No,
And
you
yeah.
have to. And I think
But-
it's important that you gave the listeners some like hard facts and maybe, maybe stop some of the fucking gossiping out there. You bunch of yentas.
Yeah,
I
it's
heard
a
he
lot of
pushed her.
gossip, and,
Oh, I heard it.
you
You
know,
didn't hear shit.
I've been in the cruise industry a long time, and things go wrong anywhere you are. It doesn't matter if you're on a cruise ship or if you're in a hotel on the land or wherever you are. They're very safe. It's super fun, and I do urge everyone to go on a cruise because they're
Yeah.
a blast.
I went on a cruise. It was so much fun. And of course, if you listen to the show, I spent my entire time in the casino. And I was playing 3-card poker, and the Russian lady was dealing me shit. And I go, oh, you hate me. And she goes, hate you. I don't even know you. So there you go.
That's a great line.
Okay.
So
Excuse me
yeah,
for-
we just want to send our best out to Tammy, and
Mm.
we wish him peace and just to be able to keep himself together through all
Yes. And if it helps, I'm going to ball wash him hard here. So there you go. This is going to be ode to Tammy Down and Faster Pussycat as read by Des. So there you go. All right. Let's move past the dark cloud we've just gone through and we will lighten up the skies with a wonderful podcast. And we're going to do that by starting with our opening thoughts. And I will get us started. So this album is a fucking great album. The music is so good. It goes way beyond the idea of just a straight sleaze glam album. For me, these guys were not like LA Guns or Poison or any of these bands. No. If you listen to the music, just take the vocal off. Just listen to the music of this album. This is like Hanoi Rocks. I mean, this is a rock and fucking roll album. Brent Muscat and Greg Steele are great blues rock guitar players. They're both very talented. This drummer and bass player are great blues rock bass player and drummer. These guys are very good. This album could be a million different albums. You could put a guy like Huey Lewis on this album and it would be a completely different album, but it would still be great. You could put Steven Tyler on this album. It'd be a classic rock album. You could put fucking Michael Monroe on this album. It would be something different. The music on this album is fucking phenomenal. It's legit sleazy blues rock written by ultra cool guys. The album never wanders into Goofy Town, and it's filled with great guitars, saxophone, piano, harp, and a compilation of good old-fashioned, down and dirty Hollywood strip style vocals and lyrics. This is the band we all wanted to be in 1988. They were somewhere between glam and Guns N' Roses, and I fucking loved it. And Faster Pussycat aged better than any of those other fucking bands like Cherry Pie and Every Rose Has Its Thorn. That shit was all great, but it's ultra dated compared to this album. This fucking album rules. Dave, your opening thoughts on this one?
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot.
I have heard this one before. I remember at the time the album was out, I was in high school. The song House of Pain was everywhere on the radio and MTV. I liked it, but I thought at the time it was a little overplayed. I did not get the full album until later after I had bought their first album. I have not heard this one in a long time, but I definitely remember being a little disappointed overall because I liked that first album so much. But we'll see if it's any different.
Oh, this album is so much better than the first one. A million times better. In that first one, I think I gave it 100 watts. I think, right? I was close. Lisa.
I can take a look.
Yeah, I actually would like to know what I gave the album and what I gave Tammy Down as a frontman, if you could do that.
Sure. On the original debut Faster Pussycat album, you scored it 96.9.
Dude, that's exactly what I have, but it's going up. Don't worry. So go ahead.
And on Tammy's performance of the first album, you rated him at a 95.1.
Oh my God. Dude, 96.9?
Yes.
That is great, dude. 96.9. Sort of the exact same. That's crazy to me that happened to come out like that. All right, Lisa, this album, how familiar were you with it before preparing for tonight's show?
Oh my God. I was already obsessed with Faster Pussycat from the previous album when this came out. I think I was at the store the day that it came out to buy it. If I remember correctly, I bought it on cassette and CD long box, if you remember those.
Sure, the
Ooh.
best.
Yeah, this was probably one of my first CDs ever, maybe besides Skid Row's first album. At the time, I had a cassette player in my car and a CD player at home, so I was like buying everything twice at the time
Nice.
so that I could hear it
The
in both
record companies
places.
loved you.
They
Yeah.
did. And I was trying to figure out when I started buying CDs because when you look up when did CDs come out, they became a standard in 83. I wasn't buying CDs in 83. I wasn't buying CDs until the 90s. So I don't know if I was late to the party or
Because
maybe
CD
it was
players
just
were like
expensive.
$9,000.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was just trying to make sure my memories were,
Yeah,
were clear.
when we were kids, cassettes were so much more accessible.
Yeah.
Those long boxes were so cool because you
They
had
were
so
so
much art
cool.
on them.
Yeah.
And, I love
Oh, they were
them.
great.
Yeah.
I clearly remember the videos. They played on MTV a lot. They made me want to live in LA so badly. I was still in high school at the time, so that wasn't going to happen. But then the monster hit House of Pain, came around. And what happened to me was all of a sudden everybody was a fan. And it wasn't like I felt like Faster Pussycat and some of these bands were like mine a little bit because I went to a high school that was mostly like jocks and cheerleaders and people that didn't listen to this type of music. And then all of a sudden they became like everyone's, if you know what I mean. And it bothered me a bit. It seemed like a bit of a betrayal. I mean, I was so happy that, like, oh my God, the band hit the big time. And isn't this great? But at the same time, I was like, it felt like I lost a little of that specialness of
Yeah, it's
them,
like the star
you know?
bellies. When everyone's got a
Yeah,
star in their belly, you want to take yours off.
right.
It's like
Yeah.
all the chefs
So,
with tattoos. Stop already. Making
yeah,
me look bad.
right. So,
Can't cook a souffle. I don't
yeah.
know what that
So,
means.
so obviously I was a big fan. And yeah, definitely have
Awesome.
heard it.
All right. So we had gone over whether we were going to do this or not, whether we were going to lock a singer into an original score, or if we felt like they had another album to offer and we were going to review it, if we were going to give them a second shot and maybe see if there was any growth, see if the singer deserved a better score. And we opted to go with that. So we are going to rate the singer, and let's do it. As always, it's 1 through 100, 25 on hair, 25 on style and stage presence, and 50% on vocal talent. I think that's the first time I've ever explained that correctly. So here we go. Does Tammy Down have a great singing voice? Debatably not. But much like Tyler from the Dogs D'Amour, or Joey Ramone, or Iggy Pop, or David Johansen, his voice is totally original and his own, and he executes his style to his music to perfection. He does it like only Tammy Good could, and it's fucking great. It's even as much as I love Tyler from the Dogs D'Amour, this is even better. This is even better because Tammy he just packaged this thing up perfectly. And sometimes for me, style is enough if it's done right. He has cool, interesting lyrics. I was just talking to my wife about it, man. His lyrics feel like life experiences to me. He talks about like Ohio and Tampa Bay, and these feel like stories that like things that happened to him. And it's just interesting to hear somebody talk about their life to a music backdrop. And that's the difference between songs like this and songs that sound like fucking Mr. Big and bands like that just sound cool. That sounds cool. Let's write that. It's like, yeah, but you have no connection to it. So it doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel organic. It just organic. It just feels fucking goofy. Um, and he has an unbelievable eye for fashion. Dude, this guy's so fucking cool back in the day. Whether he had blonde hair or black hair, he was fucking incredible. He was a rock star. So I am bumping him up to a very shaky, debatable 100.
Bravo.
I know it's
Bravo.
bullshit, but I don't give a fuck. Okay? Yeah, the man turned sour lemons into gourmet lemonade. So drink that. Dave, go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm going to give Tammy a 14 on hair. You know, he was blonde at the time. It was okay. The hair looked a little fried from the bleach. But he had a good complement of hats and bandanas for accent as opposed to covering up, unlike some others at the time, Brett Michaels. And so, you know, the fashion, like you said, definitely on point. He was super cool. Um, you know, great lyric writing, better than a lot of other singers. Um, Giving him a 20 on style and stage presence. He wasn't super active on stage, you know, but he makes up for it by being cool. And 35 on vocal talent. As we said, you know, not the best singer, but he does what works for his voice and he doesn't try to shoot for the moon and fail. I'm upgrading my score for him this time. I'm giving him a fittingly score of 69.
69. Dude, have you ever seen live videos of him in 88 where he's weighs like 100 and nothing? He's dressed in leather from head to toe and smoking a fucking like a fucking Lucky Strike. It's the coolest thing ever. With Greg Steele on one side and Brent Muscat on the other side, and I'm jizzing all over that video. Lisa, talk about it.
So when this album first came out, and a couple of the videos for this album, we still had Tammy with blonde hair. But the hair had calmed down a bit. He didn't tease it out as much. It was a little more, I would say, like cool and interesting. Um, it's grimier and maybe not, instead of being teased, it's more like grimy and dirty, which I think was like cooler. He's still looking good with the light hair. I know that was kind of my bad comment last time, is that I didn't like the white hair with the dark eyebrows.
Love
Um,
that.
but within this time frame, and I want to call it the time frame of this album, right? So in 1990, they put out the "You're So Vain" video. That song wouldn't hit any albums until 2 years later when it went on the EP. But the video for "You're So Vain," he has black hair. So
I
with
prefer it.
yeah, so within this time frame, and I'm gonna fairly say as part of this album, he went from blonde to black, and it's kind of like he reached his full form as a rock star,
Yes, yes.
right? Yeah. So I'm gonna give him credit for making that switch during this time frame. Um, I still maintain that I like the industrial look that he kind of grew into in the mid '90s, with a lot of the vinyl and the leather. But this guy was cool back in the day. His stage presence, like, I you can't take your eyes off him when he's performing. He's always just wearing some cool clothes, cool accessories, and whether it's hat or no hat, because actually a lot of the videos back for this album, he actually wasn't wearing the hats.
Mhm.
um, he had, the nasal quality to his voice, which I love, which carried right on through this album, the same thing I love from the first album. He's definitely one of my top vocalists from the time. I know that he doesn't have the range of like a Sebastian or like some kind of unique classic quality like Steven Tyler, but for me, his sound was, what I wanted to hear.
Yes.
So for this album, I'm raising my score to a 97.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Dude, I loved when he went with the
Nice.
black hair look. He completely reinvented himself.
Mm.
It was
It,
so cool.
I was wondering, like, I didn't know before this what the time frame was that he went from blonde to the black hair, but it was after technically this album, but still within the time frame. So I would say
Yeah.
within a year of this album, he was in the black hair. So
I really think that Faster Pussycat is closer to Guns N' Roses than they are to like LA Guns or Poison or
mm,
bands like of that ilk. Don't you think so?
yeah, yeah.
I'd
You
say
know,
so.
more they're definitely I definitely feel them. I put them in that pool with Hanoi Rocks, Dogs
Hmm.
D'Amour, Guns N' Roses, The Cult, stuff like
Hmm.
that. Like they don't
Sure.
feel like a 80s like shitty glam band to me. They just
Right.
don't.
Bluesy rock.
Okay, Dave, please add up those scores. Tell us where he lands on the Violent Vinyl frontman leaderboard, or Lisa, however we do it here. I don't know. It's my first day.
All right. So after tabulating the scores, the this week's Tammy Down
This album is Take Me Down.
of Wake Me When It's Over 1989 version um, comes out to a total score of 88.67,
Mm.
which lands him at number 3 on the Violent Vinyl frontman leaderboard, just under Sebastian Bach and over Alice Cooper.
No, I mean, I like that. I mean, Sebastian Bach was the king. He's the Elvis of fucking hair metal. Let's face it.
Yeah, so now he's at number 6 and number 3.
Oh,
So he
great.
jumped up a considerable amount.
Well, I think we remove him from number 6 now and open that spot up for someone else. You can only have one spot on the board. Can't have 2 spots on the board. So we
So
decided we
we're
would.
just gonna take the
Yeah.
higher score and
Yes,
just
we're
throw
going to
away
take the
the old
higher
one?
score.
Okay.
Exactly.
Archive it though so we remember what it was.
Yes.
Sure.
All right. So that's it. If you guys are ready, well, you can get into the tracks. I will get us started. So, and remember, there is another Faster Pussycat album that I would consider real Faster Pussycat. Whether we'll get there or not, I don't know. But well, there is another one.
Yeah.
Okay. So track number 1, Where There's a Whip, There's a Way. So right off the bat, I love the production on this song, and I love the production on this entire album, except for one song that we'll get to. Now, as for the song, what's not to like? It has a killer arrangement, complete with a strong verse into an incredible bridge that showcases Tammy's style. This rap that he pulls off is fucking money. And this reminded me why I love him as a vocalist so much. And finally, we get an absolute fire chorus. That's what the kids say now, fire. Everything's fire. So we get this fire chorus that is complete with this incredible female backing vocal. And finally, Normally, I don't like the fade in, fade out fucking outro, but I love this one because they got super heavy and it was just cool. It was just cool. I liked it a lot. Dave.
Okay. Where there's a whip, there's a way. It's a good opener for the album. Good groove and greasy guitar licks.
Oh yeah.
A song about bondage sex is probably not going to light up the charts, but it's fun. My favorite lyric line here is she grinds her leather like Liberace grinds a stone.
It's so good.
It doesn't even make sense, but I
That's
love
the lyric I picked too,
Oh.
in a slightly different way, but yeah.
I love the way it sounds. I'm sorry I
Oh.
stole it.
No, you didn't steal it.
There was a couple of good ones. I thought maybe you'd pick one of the other lines. The song is super long, 6 minutes 45 seconds. I really would have liked to have been cut shorter. The last verse is just recycled lyrics from earlier in the song in both the first and the second verses. So at least I can give him some credit for not just carbon copying the first verse. We hear again the former Mrs. McMars, Amy Canyon, very prominently in the choruses. While doing research for this, I found out that there's a song by the same name in the 1980 animated Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King film. It does not sound anything like this one. It's a different song, but who knows? Maybe that's where they got the title from. I feel like it's producer fail number one here. He really needed to step in and chop about 3 minutes off this song. The extra riff at the end is okay, but not really needed. My new cover band, Gypsy Freaks, is learning this one right now.
Ooh.
And as a plug, we'll probably be playing it at our shows in Lowell, Massachusetts, March 21st at Kodo. And also March 22nd at TJ Callahan's in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. That's an early benefit show. Our bass player Jay is convinced that the ending of this sounds like Metallica, and that Faster Pussycat inadvertently wrote Enter Sandman first right here in this song. Think about it.
They did. No, he's 100. Your guy is 100% right. This is Metallica. I loved it.
Know.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I had no problem with the runtime in this song, Lisa. I could have listened to it for another minute.
Yeah, same. And that's one of my points that we'll make here in a second. But great beginning to the song. But the weird thing is when this starts, it almost feels like an outro at the same time as it's like an intro, which it ends up being also. But the first time you hear it, it's like, oh, is this the end of the song or the beginning of the song? But I do like it. You have a great sleazy, high energy song right from the beginning. We're immediately treated to Tammy's gritty whine, which I can't love enough. Super complex lyrics, very meaningful. At first glance, it appears to be about sex and bondage, but what a great way to express some of these with some really crazy like metaphors and things like that. So I did pick the same lyric as you, maybe for a slightly different reason though. So there's some like rhymes or ways that he delivers the lyrics to make them rhyme. So when he says like she grinds her leather like Liberace grinds a stone, and then the next line is she rides just like a pony gonna sign that filly up for the rodeo, and he like blends those words together so that it matches the previous line. I freaking love that. Like it shouldn't work, but he makes it work.
Good writing and good
so
performance.
Good.
Great
He's such a
performance.
great scatter. He scats like no one's business.
Yeah. Just like a master. Just he delivers these lyrics with mastery. That's my next note. Yeah, and they're not cheesy at all. I mean, everything has meaning here. We've got a great catchy dark chorus with the female vocalist who you've now named for me. Yeah, which it for a second, like I think back in the day, I actually thought it might have been Tammy's voice with some effects on it, but it's definitely a female a female voice. We get the descending guitars, kind of a repeat from the beginning, and a great solo, a really sleazy, perfectly written solo. And the first thing in my head was, Dave, why aren't you in this band? This sounds exactly like you playing.
I love it.
It really does. So
maybe one day.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. So we have a stick ending that feels like really right for like this like hot and sleazy song, but then the music comes back and surprises us again. I don't want to call it like a second bridge or something with more guitars. I'm not sure what even to call it, but I love it. And you said you were like, this
Interlude, outrolude.
outrolude. I don't know. Yeah.
Is that a
Extra
word?
riff.
Yeah. There's that.
Extra
It's a,
riff.
and my note, and you said that the song was too long. So my note is it's a pretty long song, over 6 minutes. But I wish it was longer.
Yeah.
so so I could listen to it forever. So there's no official video, but there's a lot of live footage. And ironically, a band that I really love called Pussy Riot, which is a Russian protest band founded by Nadia Tolokov. Let's see, Tolokonikova, I don't want to mess up her name, Tolokonikova, in 2001. Her music consists of anti Putin, feminist, LGBTQIA support music, music that supports Ukraine. And she's very, very controversial. They basically they live in a country where, you know, speaking out against the government, any kind of dissent will put you in jail. They often get arrested. They have an amazing YouTube channel of artistic music. And ironically, they have a video of them, the band, Pussy Riot, dancing to this song. And it's a
Hmm.
it's a must watch. You have to see it.
And it's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah. Pussy
Oh,
Riot.
cool. Pussy Riot. I'll have to look for
Mhm.
that. The lyrics, man, they're so good. I texted you guys, man. Your knees are getting weak and your bruises are beginning to show.
So good.
Oh, it's so good.
Everything in this song is amazing.
Holy shit. All right, so there you go. Track 1, we all loved it. I can see this is going to be 100 watts. Track number 2, Little Dove. And I want to say one thing. Like, this guy's lyrics, everybody reads it differently. Like, I'm listening to this at work and I'm looking over at my boss going, this fucking guy, where there's a whip, there's a way. He's going to get us to paint this whole fucking place today. So there you go. That was my perception, was my boss fucking putting the fucking pressure on me. Okay, track number 2, Little Dove. We get another banger here. I love the lyrics and the vocals on this one. They are so sleazy without getting goofy, and that is really the charm of Take Me Down. We get great split guitars on this song, and I love the way Brett and Greg play on this album together. The producer did such a great job of just panning them left and right. Their guitar sounds are completely different. They don't blend into each other. I'm not confused which one I'm listening to. Um, and again, the big surprise for me was Eric Stacy and this bass sound and fucking his playing. It was fucking killer. It was over the top. I absolutely loved it. And finally, the outro with the weird sounds. We were getting these like wah, 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 guitars, like hard right and hard left, that were just so subtle and so cool. I loved it all. The only thing I could have done without was the chick at the end. It felt like it was beneath Faster Pussycat. It was a little cheesy. It's nitpicking, and I know in 1988 it was super cool, but listening to it now, I felt like it was beneath this album. So that's what I got, Dave.
All right, funky riff here. What's with the out of tune whooping in the beginning? I didn't really like that. Song's okay. A little sonic experimentation with the guitar talk box and the use of some harmony vocals in spots. Unfortunately, the talk box guitar solo got a little lost and it sounded a little weak. That's producer fail number 2. The the odd time riff at the end is interesting, a little Aerosmithy, but they run it for over a minute. Is way too long. They could have gotten the point of that riff across in 10 or 20 seconds and faded it out, or just had a cut ending there. Producer fail number 3.
Lisa, what'd you think?
Harsh.
It's very harsh, Lisa. And for the record, I couldn't disagree more. Lisa,
Full disclosure, this was my favorite song back in the day off the album. We'll see if it's going to hold up still, but this was my absolute favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember every single word to this song, even the way it's delivered. I love the little dove cooing. I love the guitar in the beginning. It's a very hot and sexy song. I may or may not have used this song as a stage song in a previous career. Cannot confirm or deny. Just putting that out there.
100% you did. 100%.
Yeah. So we again get the same tone to Tammy's voice, that awesome whine, and the lyrical delivery in this song is slower and more deliberate, and that makes it like really sexy for me. Is the chorus cheesy? Yes. Am I here for it? So much. I get so focused on Tammy's voice in this song that half the time I'm not even really listening to the music. I had to like go back a couple times and be like, were there guitars in this? Because all I can hear is Tammy's voice. Just great. I like the dead air stops in the song. They're executed beautifully. You don't think the song's over. It's like a perfect flow. Um, I like the talk box guitar solo. That would be something that wouldn't normally be my style, but it works beautifully in this song. I wanted to be Little Dove. The only criticism is the ending is a little bit awkward. There's a strange tempo change and a little bit of screeching from Tammy. It feels almost like jazzy. I wanted like a harder, like stick ending for the song rather than the female voice at the end.
Yep.
There's no official video, pretty thin on live footage, but I remember it back in the day, one time seeing them play this live, and it was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it was the one cheese ball hiccup was having the girl at the end.
Yeah,
But what are you gonna do? Like I said, it was a different time. And back then
forgivable.
I'm sure back then it seemed like a really good idea, but in
Yeah.
retrospect, no. Track number 3, Poison Ivy. Man, this was such a great song that I somehow remembered it being a cover tune, but it's not. This is fucking Faster Pussycat. I love the vocals on this one, and it only works because of the great production. And this doesn't just go for this song, but it goes for Tammy Down in general, right? I can make out every single word that he's saying, and that's what makes Tammy cool is his words. And if you couldn't understand the words he was saying, if these vocals were too wet and they were lost in effect and washed out in the mix, like in that Kicks album we just listened to, this would go from being clever, killer, to being a fucking hot mess. Because he would just sound like a dude that couldn't sing, and you would miss all the charm of what Tammy Down is. And on this album, man, I thought they produced his vocals to perfection, as good as you could possibly produce this guy. The song has an incredibly catchy chorus. I'm surprised it wasn't a bigger song, honestly. And killer piano track, killer. I love this song. And if you want to hear another killer piano track, go listen to That Girl by Dez on YouTube, because my buddy played a piano track on that is as good as this or better. It's fucking unbelievable. Dave, go ahead.
Nice speedy groove on this one and layered guitars. I'm missing the rawness of the first album for sure. But I did like the chorus on this one. Tammy plays with the rhythm of his vocals in a fun way. The guitar solos are kind of average blues rock for me. The chorus breakdown after the solo, I did like. That was good. But the busy piano and sax in the choruses was kind of too much.
No.
I did watch the video. It was fun. Some live performance and backstage tour bus footage. Definitely go check it out.
Yeah, it's cool. Lisa, Poison Ivy.
Yeah, little bit of a 50s kind of feel to this song, a little bluesy. I loved everything about it. I believe this was the first single off the album. Dave usually has these fun facts for us. I know it was a single off the album. I think it was the first one. At least it's the first video I remember seeing.
Yeah, I had issues finding information
Mm.
about the
Well,
singles
I did
because
too.
Wikipedia only listed House of Pain,
Mm-hmm.
but then I went to discogs.com
Mm-hmm.
and they did put out singles for Poison Ivy and
Mm-hmm.
House of Pain and I think one other
One other
song
one, yeah.
off
Mm-hmm.
this album. And so I couldn't get the full information. So
Yeah.
that's why I decided not to mention about
Yeah.
the singles.
I do think this was the first one, which is an interesting choice. Um, what a fun freaking song this is. Is this not just so super fun?
Fuck yeah.
It's a little bit simple, but also like thoughtful and just fun. It has a fun pre-chorus that like breaks the song apart really nice. Super catchy 80s glam chorus with the gang vocals, and like the lyrics, it's a little bit simple, like poison ivy, baby, you're poison ivy, but then you make me itch and I'm out of calamine. Like how cool is that? It's so simple, but it's just so neat.
How many other rock songs have the word
Right?
calamine in
Calamine,
it?
huh? Yeah, so great.
None. It's
None.
so good. It's so
So good.
good.
Yeah. So we get a nice guitar solo with kind of the piano playing lightly in the background, a little bit bluesy without being over the top, because sometimes when things get too bluesy, I lose interest in them, and that didn't happen here. I like the vocals with the drums behind them. That's kind of that sort of arena rock that would be fun to see live. Super fun video. The guys look incredible. I like that Tammy has his hair kind of straightened. It's not teased up, and it's kind of blowing in a fan, which like gives him a nice effect. That's really cool. Um, you remember Brian Forsyth from last week Kick's album? He belonged in this video, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he wandered into the wrong Kicks video. He was actually supposed to show up here. So yeah.
Third guitar.
Yeah, so
Sure.
yeah. So oh my god, so much. So many like there's only limited audience shots in this video, but there is so many polka dot pants in this show. Like I think Tammy had a thing for polka dots, cuz in this video I think he was wearing polka dot pants, and then in the next video he has like a polka dot
Shirt.
shirt. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, it's like a thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. But we get some
Randy Rhoads had polka dots
yeah.
on his guitar.
Yeah.
Yes, he
We
did.
get some like day in the life footage where they're like going bowling and they're on the tour bus, which I freaking love that stuff. So cool video.
Yeah. I wish Tammy had gone to the black hair before this video. I think it would have
Yes.
just pushed this thing over
It
the
would have been
top.
so much cooler.
Yeah, it was at the end of an era. Like
Yeah.
this is where things were starting to shift, and I think toning it down would have really helped Faster Pussycat because the music
Mm.
was toned down by this point, and the look was still kind of stuck on that first album a little bit. Track number 4, House of Pain. So this is one of my favorite songs from this era. Um, and this is what I always talk about. It's built on a dark, real world theme, right? It feels so personal the way Tammy sings it and these lyrics, and it feels so deep. And I know it touches so many people out there that have in some way lived a version of this theme in this song, right? I mean, I'm going through something with my dad right now. He had a stroke, and not to not to have a therapy session right now, but let's just say we didn't have a great relationship. All right. It's great. Tammy tells the story like a fucking champ here. And I'm all in for this thing. 100 watts. And truth be told, I choked up listening to it. I'm a bit of a pussy like that. Dave.
The song reached number 28 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the video was directed by future mega famous film director Michael Bay, who is famous for Transformers, Bad Boys, Armageddon, also movie explosions.
Nice.
That 1989 Metal Edge article I referenced before states Tammy's experiences growing up, quote, pretty much without a father inspired this song. I found another article originally published in Rave Up number 18 from 1990 in an interview of Brent Muscat by Devorah Ostrov, now available at devorahostrov.blogspot.com. I can't help you with the spelling. We don't have time.
Fee could spell it.
Deb wrote, the intensity of Tammy's vocals on House of Pain leads one to believe the song is autobiographical, which to a certain extent it is.
That's awesome.
Quote, Tammy grew up without his dad around a lot, explains Brent. It was just something he felt about his dad. He also emphasized, I think it's a really cool song because when most bands write a ballad, it's got to be on the radio and it's got to say, I love you, baby. I miss you so much. I won't forget you. Is that a dig at Poison? Which is great. But for me, I think House of Pain is cooler because it feels more real. So Brent Muscat is backing you up there, Des.
Thank you.
In an interview with Greg Steele, Greg said he wrote the music inspired by a Lynyrd Skynyrd song The band regularly rehearsed this song before it was completed. Tammy took about a year to write the lyrics because he wanted them to be right and to be deeper than just about cars and girls. Personally, I think he knocked it out of the park with this one. I did grow up with a dad, but imagining how he felt to have written these lyrics gives me the feels for sure. I am generally not a fan of the melodic harmonica, but it works very well here to bum you out. The guitars are pretty tasteful and not trying to go crazy, shredding all over the place. At the time, I never paid much attention to the video, but I went back and I watched it for this. Everything is black and white, tinted blue. I looked up what that's called, and Google says when a black and white video or film is given a blue tint, it's often referred to as blue toning or film tinting.
Mm.
The band looks cool playing in a candlelit basement, and the story part of the video is heartbreaking. Very nice work. I love the song, but I can't listen to it too much. Too many feels.
So there is a line I would change that I think was not written properly. So he says, I fixed my room a million times. I mean, the line should have been cleaned. I mean, everybody go clean your room. No one says go fix your fucking room. I cleaned my room a million times. Can we get the radio edit on that? Lisa, does the song give you the feels?
Well, this is their big hit. This is the one people remember them by. And sadly for me, this has become now a bit overplayed. I understand they wrote a hit. I understand how meaningful this song is. I understand that they chose a topic that wasn't like lost love or, something like that. It was definitely more hard hitting and more memorable. When I first heard this song, I remember loving it. Um, I had a great home life and you know, uh, I could not totally understand the circumstances that somebody would have to write a song like this, but it like broke my heart that anyone had to go through that, although it wasn't something that I went through at all. Um, this song took on a life of its own, right? And this it gave the band a pretty big legacy. Now they have some great other songs too, but I think anybody, even people who didn't listen to this type of music back in the day, knows this song, will remember it, and probably can even still sing along to it. Um, when he plays this live, Tammy, he has his hat on and he sits on the edge of the stage with his feet sometimes in the crowd, even depending on like how close the crowd can get to the stage. And he has his cigarette. He doesn't smoke anymore now, but few years back, he would have his cigarette and he would, sing the song. And imagine how many times Tammy has sung this song over and over again. I'll tell you what, every single time I've seen it and every video performance I've seen recorded by someone else, he puts everything into this performance every single time. He never just kind of, comes to it and just plays through it.
Phones it in.
Never, never. It's always, a huge performance. It's not one of those bands that kind of shit on their own success and like say, oh, I don't want to play this song anymore because I played it too much. Nope, he will play it for every audience and put his full self into it every time. Um,
Nice.
as much as I dislike harmonica, this is one of my favorite harmonica performances of all time. Same as kind of what you said, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm more of a blues harp kind of guy,
yeah,
but yeah, it does the trick in this song and
it's so
what it
good.
was intended to do,
Absolutely.
set that mood.
Yeah, and so Tammy's classic vocals come in. He's a little softer here. We still get the whine, but less gritty. I talk about him being a smoker a lot, and that really changes his vocal quality in a good way. But in this song, you would never even know that he was a smoker. The vocals are so clear, and the emotion comes through so perfectly as how he delivers the song. Um, I've heard a lot of bands try to cover this song. And while you can play the music, you can never deliver the lyrics like Tammy can. So I think it's a really hard one for bands to cover. Beautiful arrangement to the song. Um, it's a universal feeling that they put into words that I think no one else has. Um, the video ruled the charts for a really long time. That kind of blue tone with the childhood imagery and a storytelling video that was very clear what the story was from the imagery. Whether even if you weren't listening to the lyrics, you knew what the story was by watching the video.
Yeah, you could
Um,
have the sound turned off You know
Yeah.
what was happening.
Yeah. Um, the last lyrics in the song, which he just speaks, he doesn't sing. It says, "Well, if I learned anything from this, it's how to live on my own." Um, I imagine that this is going to be really hard for him to do in the future because of what's happening right now. Just to say those lyrics, I think it's going to be horribly difficult for him. So I hope he takes the appropriate time to grieve.
I'm sure he's going to shelf this one for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys ever see that video of the Led Zeppelin going down to catches fire? Have you ever seen that live footage?
Yeah, the
Mm-mm.
Hindenburg.
The Hindenburg, correct.
Yeah.
That is my childhood. Just to give you guys an idea.
Aw.
That pretty much sums it up perfectly. Okay. So we all loved it. And we all loved every track so far. Just amazing how this is going. Just like I knew it would. Track number 5, Gonna Walk. This song really has fun with the 2 guitar thing, right? Like right away. You can hear again the producer. He's got them banged left and right, super hard. They're playing different licks. It's so good. This song, the only way I can describe it is it's faster Pussycat. It just sounds like a faster Pussycat song right away. We get a slightly different tone from Tammy on this one, and I like it. It's fun. He shows, a different register. It's really cool. It's loaded with really great lyrics. I got nothing bad to say about this track. I thought it was great. In fact, I had trouble finding like a true filler song on this whole album. One where I went, it's a filler song. They mailed it in. It doesn't exist here. Dave.
I've got some drums and bass to start this one, a little like Radar Love. But once it kicks in, it's pretty good though. I would have just started the song where it kicked in. The lyrics are the kind of bluesy, I'm leaving town sort of lyrics, calling out to New Orleans, San Antonio, and Houston,
Love it.
along with Tammy tributing ZZ Top with his vocal improvs. Ha 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 ha.
Mhm.
Solo is pretty good. I hear a little Billy Gibbons tributing in those licks too. In that interview video I watched with Greg Steele, he 100% admitted in this song he was totally tributing ZZ Top, Lagrange, and trying to get some of that Billy Gibbons flavor in his playing. So
And he did.
it worked.
Yes.
More chorus to the stop short ending. Pretty good.
Again, Dave, these guys are, but Brent Muscat and Greg Steele, these are good guitar players because they're able to even, emulate these guys that are great guitar players. I mean, a lot of the dudes back in the day just weren't going to pull off Billy Gibbons. They just weren't. Even if they wanted to. It's like, sorry, that doesn't sound anything like it. You suck ass. Go back to your whammy bar. Lisa.
I'm glad they put a kind of happy song after that last one because you kind of need a little bit of a lift at this point.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, nice bass opening. Some really bluesy, nice guitar licks right from the beginning. It seems to be a little bit of a dark song. There's some minor chords in here for a blues song. But it's still very like bouncy and happy and kind of fun, right? I love the guitar solo. I would like it if it was a little more fitting to the song, but in isolation, it's really good. The song in my mind from my memory actually plays a little differently. I remember it being more sleazy and less bluesy. But it to me now that I've re-listened to it, it's a blues song that you kind of bop around to. I like the stick ending. It's not my favorite, but it's still good.
The only thing that makes this album sleazy is Tammy Down. You take Tammy Down off this album, it's a
Yeah.
completely different record. But
Yeah.
that's what I love about this record. It could be so many different things with so many different singers. You put Huey Lewis on this with his lyrics, it's a different album, but it still works. You put Michael Monroe on this with his lyrics and his sax, it's a different album, but it still works. You could do it with anybody except like, maybe Brett Michaels or something. Track number 6, Pulling Weeds. So bass, drums, guitar. I love this music track. The drums, bass, and both guitars come together so nicely in this intro. They build it up for you. You get a little drums and a little bass. We're going to add a little Brett. We're going to add a little Greg. And I just think it sounds fucking great. And what I love about this album is I can hear everything. I can hear every single bass note. If I just wanted to sit back and just listen to Eric Stacey play bass, I could hone in on his bass and just listen to his tracks. Same with the drums. Same with each guitar separately. I could just sit there and pick their track out and listen to it. And then on top of all of that, I can actually understand what Tammy Down is singing. And like Lisa said, he's singing a million miles an hour. He's inflecting fucking phrases that shouldn't even work, but somehow he's able to scat it into time and into focus. And I am making sense of all of this, and I'm seeing it all perfectly. We get this really great off-pace bridge for the song. It's so good. It makes it stand out, and it really makes this chorus pop when it gets back into stride. I fucking love this song. Dave.
According to that Metal Edge 1989 article, Pulling Weeds is a controversial song about abortion,
Woo!
comma, the right to choose.
Mm.
So, okay.
Interesting.
Busy beat to start. I'm not really a fan of the bongos or woodblock or whatever is going on with that percussion.
I loved it.
Um, I feel like the chord progression was just generic blues, and the lyrics seemed a little randomly strung together. The song for me became very disjointed with the two more sections, which is what you were just talking about.
Yes.
I didn't like those changes.
Oh, shit.
The two more rapid succession sections that I didn't think went together very smoothly. We repeat the first verse at the 3.5 minute mark when they should have been wrapping it up. I would have liked to have them work on this song a little more before they put it on the album.
I think that was I thought that was like some sort of a muted cowbell or something. Was that tuku 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 thing he was doing?
Maybe.
I thought that was so
I'm not
cool.
sure what it was.
I loved it. They used everything on this album. There were vibra slaps on this album. For people out there that don't know what that is, that's the thing that sounds like a rattlesnake when you hit it. They had everything on this album.
In the beginning of Crazy Train where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. That's a vibra slap. Lisa.
Nice rock and roll opening to this song, but it really starts when we get his extremely whiny, edgy voice. It's almost like he's turning up the whine like to a 10 on this song, which is I think is great. 80s blues lyrics. There's a cool pre-chorus. It says like, "Don't need girls or little boys. They'd only have broken toys. They'd only throw them all away." I love that part.
Do 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 do
Yeah.
do do.
Oh my
So
god.
good.
Yeah. Nice gang vocals in the chorus. Not a super catchy chorus, but I like how extremely like dirty it sounds. My note is we have some nice percussion work before the second verse, and you guys are
Nice.
like, I don't know. Yeah. The lyric that I always remember from this song, just from back in the day, and I don't know why I remember this lyric, but Daddy was a dirty beggar, Mama's a whore. I don't know why I remember that, but God, it's just cool. And yeah. I like the little guitar interludes between the verses. Interesting guitar solo. It kind of changes the tempo of the song. It's not my absolute favorite on the album, but I like how it glams up the song a bit just for a split second when he hits that like sustained vocal note there. The sustained guitar note in the solo. It's like a little bit glam. Um, I like the interlude before the last chorus. It's really, really short, but it makes the song arrangement really unique. It's a different kind of song arrangement for this one. This song might be a little too bluesy for me overall, but with the vocals, it's all forgiven.
Lisa, you were talking about the gang vocals. Faster
Mm.
Pussycat was one of these bands. Remember we were talking about it, how sometimes you look back on these 80s bands and these albums where they use these gang vocals that were done in a style that just dates it to fucking 84 to 87. Faster Pussycat never did that. These gang vocals, they're warm, they're dark, they blend in with the music. I mean, this fucking like the way Alice in Chains would do background vocals. They're just good. It's not like a bunch of guys being like, big tits, big whoops. It's like, I really love the way they used the gang vocals on this album. It did not date this album at all. They're timeless backing vocals. Really good. Okay, so that ends side A. So if you're listening to this fine podcast on vinyl, now's the time you'd flip it over and listen to side B. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so if you did that, you'd be staring at Slip of the Tongue, track number 7. So Dave, this is the song I was referring to in the beginning that sounds like it wasn't recorded at the same time. So this one feels like a leftover song from the debut album. This feels like it was written and recorded for the first Faster Pussycat album, and they were like, there's no room for it. So it just never got used. And they were like, oh yeah, we got that tune. Let's throw it on this album. The production wasn't as clean as the rest of the album, especially the vocals. It reverts back. I'm having trouble understanding what he's saying. The whole thing overall has too much reverb on it. It just sounds off. It doesn't sound like it belongs on this album. But with that being said, this feels like a classic Faster Pussycat song, and I love it. It's fucking killer. So what it lacks in production, it makes up for nostalgic original Faster Pussycat feel. Fuck yeah, I love it. Dave.
This song was the only one written on the album by Tammy himself alone. All the others were written by him and one or both of the guitar players, except Poison Ivy, that was written by him and bassist Eric Stacy.
Nice.
The opening riff is good. I like that a lot. The guitar solo is a little screechy and questionable notes-wise. I would have liked hearing something a little more melodic. Overall, this sounds closer in style to their first album material. I had that in my notes. The snare drum sound is pretty fake. The ending extending out the title though is pretty good. The slip of the
tongue.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
I loved it. Dave, there's no way this was recorded at the same time in the same studio. This sounds like a completely different record. This does not sound like the rest of the record. I want to know the facts behind this. I'll have these. I'll get this. I'm going to get to the bottom of this for the next show. Columbo is on it.
All right. Call Brent Muscat.
I just got one more question about that track number 7 there.
So I love the beginning of this song. It's kind of very glam. You said that it sounds like, or Des said that it sounds like it should be on the first album, and I think you don't like it as much, right? Am I right about that?
What's that?
This song?
The song was okay. I mean, the guitar was a little out, but I liked the fact that it sounded stylistically like the first album.
Yeah, it sounds more glam and less blues, and I think that's why I probably like it so much. How does this man write so many hot, sexy songs without it starting to sound stupid?
Yeah.
Right? And great subject on this song. A lot of men don't get this. A lot of straight men out there don't like vaginas. So,
that's
yeah.
too bad.
I like how his voice drops into the pre-chorus. It's almost like it happens a couple times in the song, but he goes into like turn on the news and hear what I'm gonna do before it ever happens to me. And that is nothing like his normal singing voice. It just like comes out of the blue.
Yep.
When you read if you just like go to, a lyric website and read the lyrics on this song, this shouldn't work. Right? They are like, I don't know how he's able to get the cadence of these lyrics so that they fit the rhythm of this song, and like it's all in how he delivers it. Like he planned that ahead of time. He laid it all out. I don't know how he was able to do it. But it's mind blowing to me, and it's not the first song he's done this on. It's just it shouldn't work, and it totally does. Super catchy gang vocal chorus. I like the guitar solo. I want more of this dirty guitar. And then we get to my favorite bridge on the entire album. I've got a psychopathic love that fits like a glove. My baby bucks like a bronco when I start to shove. I freaking love that. His voice goes down like an octave or maybe even 2. And there's even like another dark, deeper voice behind his. Like, I don't know if they're both his voices or if they have another singer behind it, but it's like my favorite part. So, yeah.
It's fucking awesome. Dude, again, let's just go back to what you said. It shouldn't work, but it does. Tammy Down invented this. He's the only guy that can do it, and he does it to perfection. So fucking that's why he's 100, because fuck yeah. Get it or don't. Track number 8, Crying Shame. This one actually has a bridge that's better than the chorus, right? Um, and I love the chorus. So I think you know where I'm going with this. We get a cool breakdown, get some gritty guitar solos, and then it goes back into that great bridge that I already said I love, back into that chorus that I also love. So arrangement's perfect. I fucking love this song. The only way it could be better is if the chorus was better than the bridge, but the chorus was good enough. Dave.
Rain and thunder sounds open this one. Good sound in the beginning. All the instruments are clear. And the guitars sound tough. I'm going to make that same note as you. Just before the chorus, "Wake Me When It's Over and It's Done" also sounds like a chorus.
Yes.
So it confuses us a few lines later when we get to the actual chorus and title. Is the title of the song "Wake Me When It's Over" or is the title of the song "Crying Shame"?
It should have been Wake Me When It's Over.
Yeah, either line could be the title of the song. If they did a little rewriting, it would focus the song. The effect-heavy guitar solo, wah-wah pedal on part 1, octave pedal on part 2,
Ooh.
does not really match the seriousness of the lyrics.
I thought it was gritty. I thought those guitars were the grittiest guitars on the album. But they were like, Lisa.
Okay, we're going to start with a little story time here. Back in the day, in high school, my favorite book was a book called "Say You Love Satan." Okay,
Coming into focus.
it's a
all-
true crime novel about the murder of a boy by named Gary Lawlers. Lawlers, sorry. And the murderer was a boy named Ricky Casso. Supposedly, he dabbled in ritualistic, theistic Satanism. And the story supposedly was that he killed this boy in like a ritual sacrifice in the woods. This was kind of at the height of the satanic panic. Um, and the book is spoiler alert, the book is actually about the fact that this was just a bunch of kids who were high all the time, had severe mental illness, and had little understanding or anything to do with Satanism at all. What happened was when they were out in the woods and they were all high, Ricky said to Gary, "Say you love Satan, say you love Satan." And Gary was like, "No, no, I love my mother, I love my mother." And Ricky kills him.
Ricky was a young boy.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that too.
Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So after the attack, Casso and the other boy with them, Troiano, covered his body with leaves and small branches and left him in the woods, and he was found later.
So fucking creepy.
Yeah. Casso was eventually arrested and would hang himself in prison before his trial.
Jesus.
This song is about that murder. I
No.
did not know that until this podcast.
That's crazy.
Despite the fact that I must have read this book 10,000 times. Listened to the song 10,000 times, and I never made the connection between the two. You know, my brother was a theistic ritual Satanist. Ricky Casso was not, and the book will show you why. I'm absolutely shocked that I didn't know this. So we get the Riders on the Storm opening. We get kind of the blues guitar, a little bit classic and unique. For some reason, I love the cadence of Tammy's delivery and screeches on this song. It's just twisted enough that you have to kind of work to understand the lyrics. And in so many of his other songs, he's doing all these crazy twisting, and you can really hear the lyrics and understand them. But on this one, you have to strain a little bit, and not in a bad way. This is a terrible story, and maybe we shouldn't want to understand what it says, and maybe that's why I didn't get it back in the day. So we have this whole song basically stays kind of in a minor chord. Even the pre-chorus, it's almost a little bit gothy, and then all of a sudden we get this really bright, happy chorus that seems to just kind of not match, but it works for some reason. I love the vocal performance in this song. I now love this song even more since it brought back a huge memory from my childhood about that book that I haven't thought about in years and years and years. So
That's so cool. Wow,
Yeah.
good fact on that one. So it sparked another thought in my head when you were talking about that. And I have to know your thoughts on this. So, have you ever seen Lords of Chaos?
Yes. Oh, of course.
So what did you think?
Well, black metal. That's my whole world.
I know, but I mean, man, I watched that movie and I don't think I was ready for what I was about to see.
It's
It
crazy.
it fucking like
Yeah.
I remember shutting it off and being like, all right, I gotta watch like Meet the Parents or something now.
Yeah, it's
Like
dark.
it's way dark, man.
Yeah.
Like taking pictures of your friend after he kills himself and using
Yeah.
it for an album cover and
Yeah.
stabbings and
Mhm.
holy shit, dude. I'm exhausted just thinking about
Yeah.
it. I could never watch it again. That and that movie 8 mm. Like there's certain things I just don't want to watch again. Dave, did you see Lords of Chaos?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, I suggest you see it if you don't want
Yeah,
to sleep
good.
tonight. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's crazy. I love the fat fucking fake kid that is just a
Mhm.
monster at the end. Oh, it's so good. And also you get Corey McCulkin's younger brother,
Yeah, younger brother. Yeah.
and he is
Who's
so
recently won an Oscar, I believe.
Is that Kieran Culkin?
Yeah.
Kieran Culkin. Oh, he's so good in Lords of Chaos. If you like metal and black hair and
Mhm.
makeup and goth and murder, go
It's
watch this
amazing.
movie.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, track number 9, Tattoo. So many albums we do on this, and we get to track 9 on a long album like this, a 12-track album, and we'll be like, the songs started blending into each other towards the end. I got bored. They did something here. This album from track 9 out, it takes a 180. It becomes a different album. And it drew me right back in. I was like, yeah, 3 more songs. And they're nothing like the last fucking 7 I just listened to or whatever. 8 I just listened to. So this one's called Tattoo. I love the music track on this. The intro to this song is so fucking dogs d'amore, but like polished up. And I just love it. We get these great horns, killer, killer bass and drums on this one, specifically the bass. Really, really good. This track fucking cooks. And I would love to hear this track with Michael Monroe on lead vocals and playing his saxophone. And then if you wanted to go one step further, you'd have to change the lyrics. But I would love to hear what Huey Lewis would do with this. And I said that earlier because it feels and sounds a little bit like a Huey Lewis song to me. And I just would love to hear what either one of those musicians would do with this track, which speaks a lot to the track and the flavor. Dave.
I can definitely hear Michael Monroe singing this.
Fuck yeah.
I'm not sure about Huey Lewis, but it'll probably still be good.
Lots of video coming out of the Monsters of Rock cruise right now of Michael Monroe's performances and some of his interviews on the ship, which are amazing. So everyone should go check those out.
Awesome. Awesome.
The beginning of this song sounds to me like a rehash of No Room for Emotion from their
Yes.
first album.
Yes.
Then the speed ramps up and the guitar solo takes a while to catch up with the music. It sounded really odd and out of time. I thought that was kind of a mistake. The chorus is cute. Guitar solo was pretty average. The chorus on the song is really the meat here, but I feel like you could have done something with the writing to spice it up a little bit to highlight a little better.
The ugly stepbrother to No Room for Emotion. What could be better? I love it. Holy, yeah, you nailed that. I knew it sounded like one of those older Pussycat songs, and that is
Yep.
exactly what it is. And I loved it when it was fucking No Room for Emotion, and I loved it now, Lisa. Talk about it.
I'm glad I have kind of the same comment as you in the beginning that the tempo in the beginning is a little bit strange and hard on the ears. I understand that it's intentional, but for me, it made me cringe a little bit until the actual song kind of started. And I was like, is that like, I'm not a musician, so I don't know if maybe it's supposed to sound like that, but it really kind of made me go, until it started.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just I had a problem with the lead guitar, with the
Yeah.
guitar solo. Just it was not in time.
Yeah, there was a few places on this song that things were just not matching up, and I
Yes.
couldn't put my finger on it. Um, I do like the guitar work here, and not just here, but on like the whole album. Where it's not just the riffs; like there's creative little licks through like every song. It's not just the solo, and it's not just the opening, but there's all sorts of little tricks, weaving through all of the songs, and you can hear that on here. The lyrics tell a nice story of a girl coming back to town, having a name, his name tattooed somewhere on her body. Um, The rule in the tattoo world, I am pretty well covered with tattoos, is that you don't tattoo someone's name on your body who is still alive, especially if you are not in a relationship. If you are in a relationship or not in a relationship and want to be with them, it's like the curse of everything to do, right? um, she's got my name
She got my name.
tattooed on the backside of her. It's just such a catchy little thing. Oh
So
my
good.
god. Um, he's not going to ever be with her anyway. I don't know why she would have done that, but here we are. What a cute story. Horns in this song, I kind of like that. There's a good. I liked the guitar solo. I thought it needed to be a little bit longer. Maybe they could have worked out the kinks a little bit if he had a little more time for the solo. Um, I almost don't hear some of the lyrics. It's a really good story that's being told, but I don't hear all of it. It's so well delivered. I don't need to. I already know what the story is, right? So it's just a fun song. I like the horns. I like it. So
Yeah. I made the tragic mistake 3 times. I've covered up 2 of them, and I
Oh
see.
still
no.
and I still have one on my leg. And I don't care. It says Holly. Her name was
Aw,
Hollywood. So hey, Hollywood, if you're out there listening, I
yeah.
still got your tattoo.
Well, we learned our lesson, right?
Yes.
Pamela Anderson had her Tommy tattoo covered
Yep.
with Mommy, and well before that, was it
Yep.
Johnny Depp with his
Wino
Winona?
forever.
Wino forever.
That one right there on my finger was the first wife's name, but that's
Oh,
been turned into a
boo.
black ring.
Yeah.
Black ring of death.
Yep.
Oh God. All right, track number 10, Ain't No Way Around It. Is that where we're at?
That's where we're at.
All
Yes.
right. Wow. All right. I'm on it. I'm on my game. So in my opinion, it took 10 tracks to get to what I would consider a filler track. But honestly, it's not a filler track. This is so good. It's a guitar driven ass kicker with a good chorus and a solid music track. It's got great guitar riffs and a fucking cool harp. I have no problem with this song. And if this is the filler, it speaks wonders to this album. Dave.
Yeah, I didn't remember this song at all. I'm pretty sure this song has the same chords as at least one other song on this album. But the guitar riff is really cool. I think they should have concentrated on that and highlighted that a lot more. That's your money here in this song. There's not enough meat here for this to be its own song. They needed to work on it a little more.
Yeah, so you heard it as the filler as well.
Yeah.
Lisa, filler?
Um, well, I really like the scratchy, screeching vocals. The lyrics are really complex here. He says so much with like very, very little space.
Yep.
I've hawked my life and all my things for a beat up pair of broken wings. That's
So
pretty
good.
cool.
So
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
good. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's a cool chorus, but it gets lost in a really complex vocal breakdown of the verses. Almost like they should have made it longer, not like the title of the song. Like the chorus was basically just the title of the song, kind of repeated.
Repeated.
Yeah, it needed a hook, I think, a little more. The harmonica solo before the guitar, this one is a little bit much for me. I'm kind of, House of Pain was fantastic, but this one I'm gonna say was not my favorite. I like the key change that goes into the guitar solo. It gives a nice musical arrangement, and I think that's a bit underrated. You never hear this as one of the hits people talk about. You never hear this as something that they play live. I think the chorus needed to be shined up more if they wanted this to be like re-listenable.
I completely agree. I think you could have left this song off the album. I think you could have left that demo sounded song off the album. It would have made the album stronger, but I don't skip either of these songs ever.
No, yeah.
I'm fine listening to them. Track number 11, Arizona Indian Doll. So for me, putting this song here was a brilliant move because if I got another song like the one we just listened to here, like if they had just written 2 more songs, like just faster Pussycat style, let's do it, sleazy, he's gonna scat, whatever. I would have started to been like, all right, they've run out of things to say. This album is starting to blend into each other. It's bleeding a little bit, but nope, nope. We get we get a curveball here. And it keeps the album from becoming this monotone, predictable fucking map. And I think the opening piano is fucking brilliant. I love this piano. And the overall feel of the song is just so outside the pocket. Whether it's a great song or not, it was the right song to put right here. I loved it. I thought it was great. And it's not a great song, but it is a great song because it's got great parts. Just maybe it's not completely in focus, but I really enjoyed the song. Dave.
Oh, hey, it's the Sharks versus the Jets. This is some folks from Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare.
Yeah.
This song.
Okay.
The guitar licks are cool. I get Faster Pussycat trying to expand their sound for their second album, but they did not need to go full cabaret lounge act. The song is not bad aside from the potential cultural ramifications. I'm not sure how that goes over with with the Native American population. If you are Native American and you're a listener, write in and let us know if this song is offensive or not. A better treatment to the music would have made this blend better with the rest of their songs. Yet another producer fail.
It's 2025, so I'm 100% sure somebody's offended somewhere. So there you go. Yeah, no, Dave, I have to agree with everything you said there. It's just, like I said, for me, I would rather have maybe a swing and a miss than another just fucking here's another fastball down the middle.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just heard 3 in a row.
Rather than a carbon copy of the last
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
You're
So,
getting bored. You're getting tired of pizza.
yeah.
When
At least
you
they got up
want
to
a
the
steak.
at least they got up to the plate and took a fucking swing. Lisa, what did you think of this track?
Uh,
No.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
Okay, I'm gonna, they say you're supposed to do a, sandwich of positive, negative, positive when you have
Yes,
something bad to
yeah.
say. The
Compliment
compliment sandwich. Okay.
Sure, do it.
So the piano was really nice. It sounded like a real piano, and
good
I
time.
really liked that. Yeah, this is not an appropriate song, not to write then and not to write now. It's full of stereotypes, even if you take it for the time period. It's full of what you might call interesting lyrical tricks, trying to weave Native American imagery into a song about a sexy girl that he was infatuated with. Um, there's some, I think it's offensive. I should have known a little more that it was offensive back in the day. I read a really bizarre breakdown of these lyrics on a website called musicianwages.com. So someone said, it's about an ancient time where the last remnants of a forgotten tribe, the mention of the bow and arrow symbolizes the protagonist's readiness to embark on an adventure. Blah, blah, blah. Walking to her teepee and bidding her good night is a gesture of respect and admiration, capturing the depth of their connection.
Somebody at that website likes weed.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that's not how Tammy would have fucking described it.
Right, yeah. While some may argue that the song's portrayal of Native American culture could be misconstrued as cultural appropriation, it's crucial to view it in the context of the time that it was released. The late 1980s were a different era, and society was still in the process of understanding and rectifying past misrepresentations. No, we fucking weren't. This is terrible. I didn't get any of that imagery. None of that came through to me at all. This is that is seriously reaching, trying to make this song seem appropriate at any time. And my final comment is, I love the classic blues bass line that plays behind the piano.
Okay, so I'm embarrassed to say that I had no idea any of this was going on. I was just like, oh, cool. Sounds like a fucking... No idea. So, okay. I'm behind you with this. All you Native Americans out there, fuck this song. This song sucks. Okay, and final track on the album is called Please Dear. What can I say? I fucking love this song. It's got such an amazing music track that has such a classic rock feel in the vein of the Rolling Stones. And it makes it one of my favorite songs on the album. And in my opinion, these are the best guitar tracks on any Faster Pussycat song, on any Faster Pussycat album. They both reached their peak right here. You heard it. This song chokes me up every time I listen to it. And for the strangest reason, it reminds me of my old pets that are no longer with me. I know it wasn't written about his dog that's gone or his cat that's gone, but it just touches me. I fucking love this song. And in my opinion, it's a classy ending to a great album maybe it classes up that last track just a little bit. And on this one, I would love to hear this track sung by Mick Jagger. I think Mick Jagger could sing this song and you wouldn't even recognize it. It would be a completely different song and it would be obviously probably better. Yeah, wow. I love this track. Dave.
According to the 1989 Metal Edge article, the death of Tammy's ex-girlfriend in a car accident inspired this song.
Wow, poor dude, huh?
Yes, yeah, that's
Fuck.
heavy.
That's why he writes so many good words. Got life experience, this man.
Yeah, he sure does. He would probably wish he didn't have quite as much life experience. And
sure he had good life experiences too. He sounds like a very interesting fellow.
I'm sure. The song starts with bass guitar and is mellow and ballady. Hey, Lisa, he says your name.
Yes, he do.
How'd you know my name was Lisa? I don't like the chord change when we go to the chorus. That's just a personal gripe. It's a little jarring for me. But it's a nice difference to have the little bass guitar breaks. And again, the song is almost 6.5 minutes. I would love a little edit there.
2 more minutes, right?
Sure. I totally get the heartfelt sentiment behind the song. Unfortunately, he seems to be going through this again. Hope everything is okay.
I agree with you. Just 2 more minutes of this song would have been perfect. Lisa.
This song is about me.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Fun fact. He wrote this song about Lisa after he saw her on Maury Povich.
Yeah, it's totally not. But it's nice to hear. I don't have a very singable name, I think. So,
Lisa.
See, this band, Skid Row did it, and Pauly Shore did my name once.
I love Pauly Shore.
Lisa,
Can we talk about Pauly?
Pauly.
It's so good.
Yeah. I love this song. I wish there was a song this beautiful written about me. There probably never will be. I used to dream about having this song sung to me on stage or something like that. I just love it. The delivery of the lyrics in this song, the way that those quick like shotgun lyrics where he says, then you had to go and leave me sitting all alone. Oh baby, how I miss you so, and I'm so damn tired of thinking. It's like, oh my God, how did you run that all together and just make it sound so incredible? And then there's the key change actually I have in here that I really like. That's when it goes to like the please dear goes please, it goes like up a little bit, please
Yeah, it's
dear.
the lift. Please
Oh,
dear.
I love that. Could you save a seat in Nirvana for me so we can go on forever? See, I freaking love it.
Where's
like
my fucking dog?
Yeah.
I
oh
miss
my God.
you. I miss Chopper.
Yeah. I love the isolated guitar notes. I just can't say enough about this song. I love everything about it. It's a heartfelt song, heartfelt lyrics, heartfelt guitar solo. It's so simple, but it just speaks the emotion through the song, and I can't say enough about it.
So every episode, Lisa wishes that somebody would write a song for it. Dave, I mean, we're
Nobody
musicians.
was ever going to write a song for
Dave,
me.
can we write a song for Lisa? I mean, come on, me and you, I think between the two of us, we could probably pump some piece of shit out, right?
We're going to have to.
All right. So there you go. We have broken down this fine record. I was going to give it 100, but after being informed that it's got a fucking horrible song with offensive fucking content, I'm gonna have to come down just a little bit, I guess.
We can pretend that song never existed.
Yeah, all right. I'd like to do that. So let's do favorite song. Favorite song for me is Please Dear, because it's fucking awesome. Song I would cut would be Gonna Walk. And I don't really want to cut. Oh, no. Okay, let's change that. Song I'm going to cut is track 12, right? So there we go. Doesn't exist. Replace a member. I'd remove Tammy Down. I'd replace it with Steven Tyler just for this album, because I would love to hear what this album sounded like with Steven Tyler singing it, because I believe he probably could pull off his own version of all that scatting and also add fucking harmonies and vocals for days that would just turn this thing on its head. There you go. Dave, same questions.
Favorite track, House of Pain. Track I would cut, Pulling Weeds. And if I had to replace one member, I think they really needed some more guitar firepower here. Let's replace Greg Steele with somebody with a little more experience. Andy McCoy of Hanoi Rocks.
Oh yeah, you just I
Right
got
in.
wood. I got wood. That's it. That's so hot. That's such a hot take.
Yep.
Holy shit. That's fucking the best. Andy McCoy, favorite guitar player of all time. So I'm gonna say it right here on the show. There you go.
Oh yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Lisa, same questions.
This is too hard. I can't pick between Please Dear and Little Dove, so I'm picking both of them.
Okay.
I'm definitely cutting Arizona Indian Doll. That song should never have existed, and I pretend that it doesn't.
Okay.
I'm replacing Greg Steele just like you did, except I'm putting in Brian Forsyth so he can have a cool band that, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but he needs to have a band that he looks cool
Nice.
in.
Yeah, he'd fit
So,
too.
yeah.
He'd be awesome.
Mhm.
Fuck yeah. All right. Hey, if your carbon monoxide detector ever goes off, do not remove the batteries. Do not remove the batteries. That's a public service announcement
Mhm.
from Violent Vinyl Radio to you and your little brain.
Go outside immediately.
Okay. So that's it. Let's do some final thoughts. We'll score this thing and we'll log it in infamousy. What I love about this album is it's an amazing sleaze rock album. But if you handed the vocals over to a guy like Steven Tyler or Michael Monroe, it could be something different. What did I give the last one again?
The original Faster Pussycat album, you gave a 96.9.
Okay, so on this one, I am going to go 98. 98.
Ah.
It's a fucking great album.
Ah.
I would go 100 if it wasn't for the track 12, and I'll tell you why. It's not AC/DC Back in Black. It's not Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction, but it's a perfect sleaze rock album. So there you go, 98. Dave.
Well, reading interviews at the time of this album, the band consistently mentioned them using their time for writing and rehearsing material for this album. I feel like maybe they thought about it too much. Maybe they didn't settle on the right producer after all. The album sounds good. The guitars sound great, the bass and the drums and Tammy's vocal production, but not sure where if artistic choices fell to the band or to the producer. Who was in charge of that, because that's where we really needed some focus and direction. My suggestion would have been to cut a few songs from the track list, keep a couple good ones, and do some rewriting on the rest. A different producer may have provided stronger positive influence, and maybe even an outside songwriter may have helped. Not talking somebody huge like Desmond Child or something like that, but maybe if they wrote songs with Andy McCoy or their buddy Izzy Stradlin or somebody like that, could have really given them some more gas there. I love their first album. Maybe they should have shot first and asked questions later in a similar manner. So I kind of stand by my original assessment. There's a few good songs. The rest, for me, not so much. There are some good ideas in there, though. House of Pain carries this entire album big time. My score is 63.2.
63.2. Can you tell me what you scored Pretty Boy Floyd's Leather Boys with Electric Toys, please?
Sure, it's way higher. I gave it an 88.
Shame on you, and shame on you.
Hey,
These two albums should not even exist in the same universe. Lisa.
I love this album. Again, I'm a goth girl, and there's really only 3 bands from that era that have survived for me. Faster Pussycat is one of them, and this album is one of the reasons that they have survived for me. I loved it back in the day. I think I might even love it more now. It does have a few problems and, things I want to forget, like that Arizona song. And at some point there might be a little bit too much repetition with the blues riffs. But one thing I can say about the album is that Tammy's vocal performance really makes this album. At times, I forgot that there was anything else on this but his voice. I just got so lost in it, I almost forgot to listen to the music, especially on the ballads. You can feel every word that he sings, and that every word is a piece of life that he's actually lived. Um, I know that Brent co-wrote some of the songs and the other guitarist, Greg as
Greg,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, but to me, the ownership feels like Tammy. Like when he delivers these songs, you can tell that it's him.
Yeah, I get the feeling he writes most of
The
his own
lyrics.
lyrics and melodies
Yeah,
on his own,
yeah,
and the other guys are responsible for the music. But
yeah. When he delivers the lyrics, there's nothing else in the world. Everything else just kind of fades away. Um, one more thing I want to say, I just want to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning. I got a little choked and tripped over a few things earlier. So, um, Kimberly is a human being, um, was a human being, and she was a beautiful person. And whether they had problems in their relationship or not, it's not for anyone out there to judge her or what happened. I don't like seeing all the speculation about their relationship out there, and I think people should just like leave the topic alone. But even worse than that, there's a lot of people making crude, horrible jokes, trying to like, say funny things about, jumping off a ship or something like it's absolutely
People
horrible.
are twisted, dude.
Yeah.
People are crazy.
Shame on you. Shame on you people for being I want to say like garbage human beings, but you're not even human beings. Shame on you for being garbage animals and you should keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
on that note, I'm giving this album a 98.1.
Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Oh my God. Okay, so let's add those up and find out where that lands this fine album.
all right. So how does everybody feel about the re-listenability?
Oh, I'm listening to it again
Is that a
tomorrow.
dumb question?
I know. I figured it's a yes from both of you guys.
Yes.
Yes and
Unfortunately,
yes.
a no from me,
Well, you're
but
outvoted.
Oh,
I get outvoted.
Mhm.
yes, that's a yes. I
So
love it.
let's organize.
Okay, so on the Violent Vinyl album chart, Faster Pussycats Wake Me When It's Over from 1989 uh, gets a total score of 86.43, placing it at the number 3 slot.
Ah, I love that.
Underneath number 2, Faster Pussycats, Faster Pussycat, and above 9 Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine.
Yes. That's great. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Lisa, since you have the next pick, tell us and our listeners what our homework is for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, for next week, we are going to listen to the 1990 debut self titled album, Every Mother's Nightmare.
Ooh.
And as
Interesting.
a special bonus, I will be delivering some quotes and maybe even some audio, we'll have to see, of my interview with Jim Phipps, the original drummer of the band.
Awesome. We're gonna get
That's
that in there
next
for
week.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll shoehorn that into the your facts.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So 1990s Every Mother's Nightmare debut album, correct?
Yes, and fun fact, in 1992, they had an EP named House of Pain.
Fun fact, I have never listened to one note of this album. So
Really?
this is going to be a
I
completely
think you're
Yeah, me neither.
I think you're going to remember the hit because I think a lot of people hear it and don't realize that it's them.
what's the hit?
Let me
Oh
see.
no, it can't be that good if you're looking it up. If you
No,
can't sing it.
I've
You
listened
gotta
to
cheat.
I
She
listened to
picked the
their-
album. She picked the album. She goes, I don't know. Let me see.
No,
and she goes on the
I-
internet.
I listened to their entire catalog this week, which is
Oh, well,
what it is.
I mean, we only need one song.
Yeah. Love Can Make You Blind.
Nope, doesn't ring a bell.
It will when you hear it.
Okay, I'm excited. I love it. I love it. Something new. So that's great. Like I said, I've never listened to it. I'm always, and this is what this show's all about. This
Yep.
is one of those weeks. Maybe introduce you to something you've never heard before. So there you
Mhm.
go. And on our sister podcast, we will be reviewing Desperado. So there you go. Until next time, take those albums out of the sleeve and let the music breathe. See you later.